Who is the next breakout star for Colorado? Is it going to be Cormani McClain? Is it Alton McCaskill? I'm going to tell you why it could be both of them on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Labor, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. That is every day, unless there's not hurricane-like winds in California. Otherwise, I will not have an episode, which is why we didn't have one yesterday. Apologies, but we're back and we're talking breakout candidates. And I've already previewed a few of them, but I have four that I'm going to touch on today. And I think these four guys could end up being difference makers for Colorado in 2024, starting with Cormani McClain. I've already talked about him before. I did a whole episode dedicated to him. But you look at how much he struggled. You look at how many expectations he had and all the issues he had last season. He comes into Colorado after what was a whirlwind of a recruitment. He comes in after being a Miami lock. And it was like, okay, Charles Kelly, Coach Prime, they helped flip him to Colorado. Comes to Boulder, and it's like, okay, he's adjusting to the altitude. Normal. That's a normal thing. And then it's like, okay, he's adjusting to being a college athlete. It's like, okay, normal thing. And then it's like, yeah, he's actually missing meetings, late to things, and doesn't show up to a lot of stuff. And it's like, okay, not great. And then we don't see him until I think it was week 4 against USC, week 4 against USC. He had some good moments, and then we don't really see him again. And it's when we do see him, like against Washington State, he was getting torched, and it's like, okay, for Cormani McClain, year 1 was a wash. Like that was a year of learning what is required. That was a year of learning what it means to be a college athlete, and I think he learned it. And it's time to move on and build from that. Also, you look at what Colorado brought in this offseason in the portal. They brought in a talented quarter in DJ McKinney, who I think realistically, if he was starting alongside Travis Hunter, I would not be shocked. They bring in Preston Hodge from Liberty, who has tons of experience. They're bringing these guys in to bolster their depth chart, yes. But also, if you're Cormani McClain, you're looking around and going, there's a lot more bodies in this defensive back room that could play. This is supposed to be my spot. It's supposed to be me and Travis. And so I think he takes that next step. I think he learned from all his mistakes. I think he figured out what he was doing wrong. And sometimes you just got to adapt to the college game. And for some guys, it's harder. Some guys, they need a year to get acclimated. And I think Cormani McClain, is one of those guys. Second guy, we're going offensive side of the ball now. Alton McCaskill. We saw him in 2021 for Houston, rack up 961 yards, 16 touchdowns on 5 yards per carry, 5.1 yards per carry to be exact. And then he gets injured, misses the next year. And it's like, okay, then he transfers to Colorado. And he was the biggest get. He was the get that was supposed to complete the offense. And then it's like, okay, he's not ready. He's still injured. It's like, okay, understandable. He's recovering from an ACL, whatever it may be. And then he comes back against Oregon, gets like 3 carries or whatever it may be. And it was like, okay, I mean, not the best. He got 5 carries against Oregon in garbage time for 17 yards, 1 against USC, 6 against Stanford, 2 against UCLA. And then we never saw him again. He was shut down. Finished the year with 14 carries for 59 yards and left us wanting more. Left us wondering, okay, what was he not ready? Was he not supposed to come back? And either way, whatever it may be, he's poised for a breakout year. This offense has a better offensive line, which I think a lot of people are focused on, keyed in on Shedeur Sanders, which they should be because he was balling with a terrible offensive line. But now he's going to have a run game to complement him. And who better to compliment him than the former American Rookie of the Year? Alton McCaskill steps into a Colorado running back room that is very much up for grabs. I think Dylan Edwards has some sort of claim to the starting spot, or even Sivion Wilkerson, excuse me. So many tough names for me to say. I got horrible pronunciation sometimes. But Sivion Wilkerson is another guy that Coach Prime likes. He's rushed for 1,000 yards before, and I've been told I don't give him enough props. So Sivion Wilkerson in the mix. But I think Alton McCaskill, if he's healthy, should have no problem hopping to the front of the line exploding next season behind this better offensive line and adding a different dynamic to this Colorado offense. If he doesn't, I'd be shocked. We're going back to defense. Levante Bentley. I've been talking about this linebacker group. I think they're one of the weakest units on the team. But that doesn't mean they can't have a breakout star in their midst. So I look at this linebacker room and I see guys like, okay, Trevor Woods is playing linebacker now. And I think he's going to be a decent linebacker. You have Kari Mans, Dave Harris, Juwan Mitchell, no longer in the fray, Demoy Kennedy, Brennan Gant. And it's like, okay, Brennan Gant barely played. Demoy Kennedy barely played. Trevor Woods, natural safety. And Levante Bentley was kind of like the only guy. And then they bring in the Wade twin. It's like that group is full of guys outside of Bentley who played a lot of quality snaps last season, or played a lot of snaps. I wouldn't say they were all quality, but played a lot of snaps for Colorado. It's full of inexperienced guys. Levante Bentley had experience coming into Colorado. He played quite a bit at Clemson. He's played 1 year at Colorado, had a major role, and now it's his time to take that next step forward and kind of be that leader on defense. Because if they don't have that leader in that second unit or that second group, second level, excuse me, that's what I was looking for, then their defense is going to struggle. If teams can run the ball on them, which the Big 12 has a lot of good running backs, and I don't want you sleeping on any of the running backs in the Big 12, Colorado will be losing games. Levante Bentley led the team in tackles last season. He also had a team high, or was tied for the team high in sacks with 5. I think he is poised for an even bigger year, coming back for a second year where he's like the full-time starter, where it's like, okay, I know what to expect. Now it's my time to read, adapt, learn, and do all this. And so I think Levante Bentley could be that guy on defense that steps up for that linebacker group, which I think is weak. Even Coach Prime said they still want to add a couple more guys, but that doesn't mean Levante Bentley isn't ready to step in and be that guy. Also, last one, this is going to be a kind of a shocker for everyone. Savell Smalls. And you're probably like, yeah, it's time for him to get to the quarterback. No, it's time for him to catch some passes. Yeah, you're probably like, what am I talking about? Savell Smalls, since the last time we talked, has switched from defensive end, from a 5-star defensive end, mind you, from Washington, to tight end. So now at tight end, they're going to have Chaman Mateer, the Cincinnati transfer, and Savell Smalls. And while I think it's Chaman Mateer's spot to lose, I think Savell Smalls has athleticism. I think being on the defensive side of the ball should help him in terms of how to understand defenses and maybe help him get to open spots. And so I think a lot of people were looking for like a huge, Jimmy Horn, which I do think Jimmy Horn's poised for another big year. But I think Savell Smalls is going to go from barely cracking, if not really cracking the defensive rotation at all, to he could be a key contributor for this offense if he learns the offense well enough and if he adapts to the position. He should have the blocking and the physicality part down. It's the catching passes. Can they use him in jumbo sets? Can they line up in more 21 offenses or whatever it may be? Like, can they get more creative with multiple tight ends? And I think Savell Smalls having that 5-star background, like obviously being a 5-star only means so much. I don't want to say it means like you're a really good high school player or like you peaked in high school, but being a 5-star doesn't always translate to the next level. And we saw that at defensive end. And I think he has a lot of people to prove wrong. This is his 6th year of college. And it's kind of like his last hurrah. And it's like, okay, show us something. You haven't been able to be consistent on defense. Show us that you were worth the 5 star, not worth, but show us why you were ranked 5 stars. Show us why you are viewed as one of the best athletes in the country. He played some tight end in high school. He does have a tight end background, and the coaches seem thrilled about it. So look out for Savell Smalls to be making some noise at tight end. And those are my 4 breakouts. You comment below who you think could be poised for a breakout season, because there's always a sleeper guy here and there. But I appreciate you guys for always supporting my picks and my takes. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Sunday, it's all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite food and snacks, and placing some super bets. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a dub or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel has also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I appreciate you guys. We're nearing 5,000 subs. Let's get there. We're almost there by Valentine's Day. That's the goal. The day of love, since we all love the show so much, you know? We're talking about who the pressure is on because realistically, Colorado's heading into a 2024 season, into a Big 12 that while there are, like Utah's going to be good, Kansas State's going to be good, Arizona should be good. But I would still say it's much more up for grabs than the Pac-12 was. I think Utah should have a prime opportunity, no pun intended, to compete. But who is the pressure going to be on? Well, for starters, I'm going to give you three people, and I'm going to explain why the pressure is on them. For starters, we don't even know who this person is yet, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Wink, wink, hint, hint. The defensive coordinator, whoever he may be, the pressure is on. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but either way, it could be, I don't even care. It could be the best defensive coordinator football has ever seen. It could be Nick Saban coming back from retirement, defensive coordinating for Colorado. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But the pressure will be on him because Colorado has the dynamic offense. They had a dynamic offense last season. They had a really good offense last season. Outside of the run game and outside of the horrendous offensive line, they were still a very decent offensive attack. Their defense, on the other hand, really bad. They couldn't stop the run. They were undisciplined. Teams just abuse them in every way possible. So if you're the defensive coordinator, you're coming into a job that's going to have a lot of attention on you, a lot of eyeballs, and you are going to have to not only fix this defense, figure out who the best guys are here and there, but you got to adapt. And that's hard for some people. I think we saw it on both defense and offense last year. Neither of the coordinators were adapting well to what this roster had. Now, let's not pretend like that roster didn't have major flaws, and I think it would have been hard to adapt for anyone. But you need to adapt to what other teams are doing, to what other teams are abusing you by. Like teams were running the ball against Colorado last season, and there was minimal to no adjustments made. It felt like they were just constantly making the same mistakes, and that cannot happen. So defensive coordinator number one. This next one, it's going to be a unit, the offensive line. They have the DT2, don't touch 2, which is don't touch Shador. They're all coming in. There's basically, I'm going to say 7 new linemen. So you got all the transfers. So you got Tyler Johnson, Justin Mayers, Yakiri Walker, and then, the Indiana transfer, Khalil Benson, his name was slipping my mind. Yakiri Walker, and then who else am I missing? I'm missing someone. Tyler Johnson, yep. Either way, Philip Houston, there he is. So they bring in those guys. You bring in Jordan Seaton. You have Tyler Brown, who couldn't play last year. You have David Connor, who couldn't play last year. You have all these new linemen, basically, and they're all big on, and Jordan Seaton. I don't know if I said him, but Jordan Seaton, the 5-star. And it's like, okay, we're going to protect Shador Sanders the best of their ability, whatever it may be. They have this whole don't touch Shador thing, and that's great. I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. But obviously the pressure is going to be on you. Coach Prime has already said, we got a new offensive line. We got a new offensive line. It's going to be all new guys, right? Well, these new guys, just because they know what they're expected to do and they know that they're probably going to start, doesn't mean the pressure's not on them. Because if they go out there and they're giving up sacks and they're giving up pressure and it's like, okay, nothing's really changed, then they're going to be the next group that gets replaced. And they can't have that. For some of these guys, like Tyler Johnson or Khalil Benson, this is an NFL year for them. This is a get on NFL radar year for them. And if they're unable to protect Shador Sanders, there is no NFL for them. Like if you can't do that, then it's not happening. It's really not. So Colorado's offensive line, you need to step up. The pressure is on. You need to protect Shador. You need to establish the run game. I think a lot of people focus on offense lines too much when it comes to protecting the quarterback, which I mean, very big, very important aspect of football is protecting the quarterback. But an even bigger aspect is establishing the run game, which opens things up more for the quarterback. So protect the quarterback, establish the run game. The pressure is on for the offensive line. And then the pressure is on Deion Sanders as a game manager, if you will. And it's like, okay, he's not a quarterback. I know. But there were too many clerical errors last season. There were too many clock management issues. There was too many issues where it's like, okay, we can't be doing that again. It happens every week. So, for instance, and obviously Shador took the blame for this, but as a head coach, you can't you need to have discussions about this. Against USC, Colorado's trying to come back. They're trying to drive down the field. They're trying to score a touchdown, I think, to tie the game. And we're running the ball with no timeouts. On the sidelines, this should be a discussion. We do not have timeouts. So if we're running the ball, which we shouldn't be, it's to the boundary, not up the middle. We're not running the ball and killing 10 seconds off the clock and then taking forever to get the playoff. Oregon State, there's 20, 30 seconds left. Maybe a minute. I think there's like a minute left in the first half. And we're backed up against our own goal line. And obviously, Coach Prime doesn't call the plays, but he was an offense coordinator for Shador in high school. He's one of the best college football NFL players of all time. He knows very well how important game management is. So throwing 2 incomplete passes and then running the ball on third down for no gain and then having to punt, not great. If you know you get the ball back the next half, why are you trying to charge down the field in 30 seconds, 90 yards? That's the thing where they're substituting people on and off the field, and it allows on offense, and then it allows for the defense to substitute guys on. So they trot on a guy that weighs 375 pounds, 385 pounds, have him run to the middle of the field, run back, and it's like, okay, that just killed 7 seconds off the play clock. We learn from that. That we have to learn from that. You can't consistently do that. That happened to Colorado frequently. And then I think realistically, it's just a year of growth as a head coach. I think there's a next step to be taken for Coach Prime at the Power 5 level, and I think he'll take it. But I think a lot of people are going to be putting that pressure on him. So those are the 3 people that I think three people / groups that I think the pressure is on. You comment below who you think is feeling the pressure, because obviously in college football, there's always pressure. Pressure makes diamonds, though, and I think Coach Prime has a potential, and this group have potential to see some diamonds. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, it's what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available, wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and let's talk about the text message that's been heard around the world. I'm not going to put it on the screen because on Twitter it's a ginormous screenshot. But Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, posted to Instagram a conversation via text. He obviously, a little savvy guy he is. He's a savvy fella. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to play the game better than anyone. He knows how to draw attention, clicks, eyes, and chatter, because we're chatting about it right now. And this text message says, yes, this is great. Huge improvement. And then the person in response says, agreed. I'm glad we switched that up. What a difference that made. And Coach Prime says, we got a lot more where that came from. You're going to love everything we got to offer. And then the person says, this has been months in the making. And then it says, Coach Prime says, it don't stop. I'm excited. And then the person says, when do you want to announce? And the other person says, I've been ready, which Coach Prime said, I've been ready. Wednesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So 9 a.m. for me, 10 a.m. for you guys. If you're on the East Coast, I think that's noon. I'm going to call it noon. Let's do this thing. And then the text message says, I'm ready, Coach. Let's do this. And so it's like, what could this possibly be about? I think there's 2 possibilities. One, I think it's a uniform announcement. All right, I'm going to give you 3 possibilities. I think it could be a uniform announcement. So Colorado has talked about having more uniform combinations than Oregon. Are they going to be announcing the dropping of new uniforms? Possibly. Colorado has talked about, Coach Prime has said it, and then Uncle Neely, I believe, said it on his show or in an interview somewhere that they want to have basically infinite uniforms. And Colorado had some really cool ones last year. I personally, I'm always a fan of the all white, like stormtrooper look. I like the all black with the gold. That looked cool as well. And then the traditional as well. I mean, you can never go wrong. But let's get some. I wasn't a fan of the gray ones, I'll be honest. Let's get some more unis. Is it that? Is it the defense coordinator? Obviously, Colorado, I talked about it earlier. The pressure's on the defense coordinator. Don't know who it is. We don't know who the defense coordinator is, and that's okay because Coach Prime hasn't announced it. He hasn't announced who the defensive coordinator is, and he says he's going to taking his time. There was kind of thoughts that it would be like an NFL guy, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, we don't know because the Super Bowl's this week and like the playoffs are pretty much over, and I doubt it's going to be someone from a Super Bowl staff. So does he go with the defensive coordinator announcement? Obviously, their defense had issues. That would explain the text that says, I'm glad we switched that up. What a difference that made. Like, are they talking about schemes? Are they talking about looks? Who knows? Or third and final, could be a recruit. Are they talking about a graphic? Are they talking about like a recruiting graphic? Like, hey, coach, I'm committing and this is my graphic. And maybe Coach Prime had some, who knows? Maybe he had like a thought on the graphic and then said this has been months in the making. And so it's like, oh, obviously they've been recruiting it for a few months. And then Coach Prime says, don't stop. I'm excited. Are there recruits to come? Who knows? Maybe it's like a recruiting director and they're talking about whoever they're going to get. I don't know. But tomorrow, huge announcement. Stay tuned. I will have you covered here on Locked On Buffs. We're going to have a really, really great episode with Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12. You guys will really enjoy it. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me a part of your day and making me your first listen of the day. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Give me 5 stars. 5 stars. The more 5 stars, the better. The more subscribers, the better. I appreciate you guys. We're going to have some really cool episodes. Thursday, Friday, me and Scott Proctor, we're projecting depth charts. So you won't want to miss that either. Who has the chance to rise up the depth chart? Who may get their spot stolen? We'll talk about all that. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday. And again, sorry for the no episode yesterday. Pray for all the people in California. We're struggling with the weather out here. Have a good one.